So if you've been part of the appraisal season in 2023, you would have heard this one word, feedback. Feedback from manager to team member, feedback from team member to manager. But somewhere in this whole feedback season, the core meaning of what feedback is meant for seems to be lost. In all of this, how do we sort of create a culture where it's okay to give feedback, but also feedback given in the right way, and what is that right way? Let's close the loop on this. Joining me on Close the Loop is Tripti Jha. Tripti is the VP of HR at Niro. Tripti, welcome to Close the Loop.
Thank you so much. Thanks, Shini.
So, how's the feedback season for you in 23?
So, we closed our feedback in April. But yeah, it's good. Different organization, different kind of feedback.
So, I feel like somewhere this word itself evokes different emotions among people. I mean, if you read the meaning of it, it's something that one person is supposed to tell the other with the intention of helping them to get better. But it feels like in an Indian context, it becomes a word that people don't really look forward to, being on the receiving side or even sometimes on the giving side. Why do you think that is?
See, honestly, I think the problem is that people don't understand the intent behind it. It's equally important for the giver to understand why they are trying to give this feedback. Because if it's not clear to me as a giver, then the person who is going to receive it, it will never be clear to them. At a lot of time, it's been used to pull somebody down. And that's the reason we have not used it well. And maybe that's why it's like people don't want to give feedback, or maybe they are not happy receiving it.
So you also mentioned that sometimes people are not kind of ready to even give it. Now you would think that the managers typically are probably most comfortable in trying to give feedback, but why do you think that there seems to be a problem there?
Honestly, it's something that can be learned because, I mean, the scenario is that nature and signature doesn't change. So when you're trying to give that feedback, don't try to change that person, because everything is very situational. So it's not about the person or the personality, it's about the situation or the work that is being done by somebody. Also, when you mentioned that part where managers are most comfortable giving feedback, I kid you not, they are not. It's like, hey, if I'm going to give feedback to Srini today, he's going to sulk for a week maybe. Or maybe he's not going to take it at the right spirit. Maybe I see another attrition.
Or is that they don't want to be a bad guy?
Maybe.
They want to be liked, universally liked.
Yes.
But what about the person receiving it? Sometimes very few people I've seen are actually open to taking something constructively. Most people get very defensive, they react, and they go to pieces sometimes when they get feedback. Why do you think that happens?
Honestly, because we are not used to receiving a genuine feedback. That's one.
Is it a cultural thing you feel in India?
Maybe it's a cultural thing, because whenever we get feedback, when something is good, we generally don't give feedback. And I mean, remember, when did you give feedback about a good thing that has happened in your life? But if something bad has happened, you would have escalated everywhere, Twitter, this, that, so that you get that attention. In terms of feedback also, we think that if there's something which is a feedback it's given to us, there's something wrong about it. Maybe the next step is they're going to put me on PIP. And the third step is they're trying to put a boundary across my exit.
Right.
Or there is something negative which is going to happen to me because a feedback is given to me. It's a fear. But then what I've seen is that trust can be built between an employee and a manager. To start with it, managers should start the feedback session. As in, if you are in my team, I should go and I should, at certain intervals or regular frequency, I should ask, hey Srini, start with a feedback for me. Okay. How should I operate?
As a manager.
Yeah. So the starting point is manager asking for feedback. Mm-hmm. At most of the time, when you'll ask for feedback, your team would not give you real feedback.
Yeah, they'll be playing it safe.
Yes. Right? Okay. Yeah. And at most of the time, it will be flattery, because they'll be telling you, hey, Tripti, you do this really good, this, that, blah, blah. But slowly and eventually, you'll come to a point where you'll get real feedback from your team members. Also, you need to reward the first feedback that has come.
How do you do that?
So if anybody in your team maybe has given you a feedback, hey, you know what, I feel, Tripti, you're very biased to this person. All of us would have received some flack out of you, but that person doesn't receive. So in that scenario, you need to say, hey, thank you for sharing this with me, and maybe publicly, acknowledge the part that yes, I've received this feedback, and try and be casual about it, try and bring that topic again and again. As in, you know what, yes, when I thought back, maybe yes, I was not doing that. And when Srini brought this up to me, I'm doing it more mindful. I'm being mindful
So you're
about
sort
it.
of calling it out
Yes.
as a positive thing
Yes.
that you've improved.
Yes.
But honestly, how many managers in India are comfortable doing that?
No, they are not, because when you ask, I mean, there's a scare in somebody's mind. What is it that is going to come out of somebody else's mouth?
Correct.
So it takes a lot of practice, a lot of self-actualization. That it's okay. Even as managers, we can get feedback, and whatever is happening for the greater good.
Right.
And all first principle, whenever you think about it, you do it.
Right. So it's very interesting. Now we've covered a little bit about what the managers go through. So there's this bit of a power trip. There's this like a superiority, and sometimes there's an insecurity also that I don't want to get feedback from my employees. But on the employee side, what do you think goes on in their mind? Because I feel one of the disservices that we do to employees is that we link feedback, or we club feedback to that annual performance review or quarterly review. So it's so somewhere a judgment and feedback are getting mixed up together.
Honestly, it should be very timely, as in if it has happened today, try and give that feedback today or maybe tomorrow, because it's fresh in the mind. So to give an example, I can give feedback to somebody, hey, you're too casual. You're very casual. But what is very casual? Casual for you is different.
So vague,
casual,
right?
it's very vague.
Yeah.
Casual for you is different. Casual for me is different. So always, whenever you're giving feedback, try and add some instances to it. You know what, XYZ, you were casual because you discussed somebody's salary on the floor. Try not doing it.
Correct.
But honestly, what is helpful for both the parties is try and give a sincere, a long, instance added feedback, because that only helps the employee also to get better at that particular thing.
Is there something that a manager can tell an employee right in the beginning that totally disarms them, puts them at ease? Is there? Have you seen something like that?
Yes, definitely. Because your starting statement should be, hey, you know, Srini, we are having this conversation because I want to help you become better in this space. You have
Instead of saying
disarmed.
I have some feedback for you.
Yes.
Right, yeah.
Yes. Because when you say I have some feedback for you, all right, oh my God, is this going to
Go
be
on the
negative, positive? What is it going to be?
And how do you think this works at different levels of employee? Like, do you see the younger lot, the individual contributors, how do leaders react to feedback, for example? You've done leadership management also. How do leaders react to feedback when it comes from somebody above them?
Same, because it doesn't change.
Yeah,
human being is human being.
Right.
So the emotion and how you feel after receiving a feedback is same. Again, popular and great leaders, let's not say popular, great leaders, where you feel comfortable sharing your points or feedbacks to. There are people who again show genuine interest in their people. Like all of my founders, I was very blessed to have Amit and 3 other co-founders, RK in Yulu, and then in Relevel I had Shashank, who is amazing, and here at Niro. So I have Sankalp and Aditya. So they are very open to receiving feedback. So this is my 5th month here at Niro. I'm relatively young at Niro. Right. But we have had our share of discussions where maybe they gave very candid feedback, and because it was my first month, it was overwhelming for me. Because, all right, I'm 14 years in industry, I know everything. Maybe you don't know about it. But then, a feedback is a feedback. So what I'm trying to tell you is that at every level it's same. The first 20 seconds is, all right, was it required?
Most crucial thing,
yes,
right? Yeah.
yes.
If you were to give some advice to the HR community that's kind of tuning in to watch this episode, what is your advice on how we can institutionalize this whole process of giving feedback with all these best practices? Like, how should the HR community do it?
Sure. Honestly, they don't need to be there when you mention. It's not required that the HR leader or the HRBP needs to be part of that feedback session. It just needs to be institutionalized in a sense where I'm having that feedback session with my team once in every month, and the frequency can be decided based on the stage of the startup or the organization. If it's a bigger organization where, things move at a slow pace and a project gets over by a quarter or 6 months, then the frequency should be set accordingly. While at an early stage startup, a month or even like 2 weeks is a good frequency. So that's one. Second, there are certain things that is to be followed. So to my HR fraternity, what I would want to tell them is that they should equip the managers and everybody in the organization to follow certain rules, which are, if you want to praise somebody, do it in public. If you want to give feedback or a negative feedback, try and do it in private. When you are doing this, don't try to do it over email. The easiest way is to do it over an email or send a Slack or a message because you want to save that awkward part. But try and spend some time and effort and do it in a personal setting because it's easier to understand the emotion that is going through when somebody is giving feedback.
Do you believe that people should actively seek feedback, or should they wait for it to come to them?
Honestly, they should seek feedback because that helps. Honestly, it helps. Something which I would not have known, I would not be able to take corrective action for it. Ideal scenario is everybody trying to seek feedback and the other person feeling very comfortable giving feedback. But we are not there yet. We are not there yet.
What's your opinion on some of these tactics? I mean, I call them tactics, but things like
Sandwich feedback.
yeah, I mean savage, and they do anonymous, peer-to-peer anonymous. There's this whole 360 degree where you can list out 10 people who you think should receive. Do you think any of these work? And has anything worked better than the others in terms of moving the needle?
See, they do. In terms of feedback, anonymous feedback always works, but again, it is stage of the organization. There are stages of the organization where you would want people to speak up, like, hey, Tripti is saying this. I would want to know what everybody is thinking. While there are stages where it doesn't matter who is saying what. They just need to hear feedback and take corrective action. So that's that. But these anonymous feedback, they're very helpful. So we do Slidos, anonymous feedback on all our town halls also. Because at this point of time, what matters to us is who is feeling what, and we want to be the great place to work. We should be best.
And lastly, what is your advice for that segment of people who neither wants to give feedback nor receive? What should they do?
They should try and do it because, I mean, all right, we all live, we all work. There's a 9 to 5 job, there's 9 to 12 job and all that. We will survive. I mean, it's nothing like if you don't
No one's gonna die.
Yeah, nobody's going to die. Yeah, let's put it this way. Right. But it will help you get sooner where you want to reach.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Tripti, for coming on Close the Loop. It was a pleasure having you. And thank you for being so candid with all your views on the show.
Thank you so much, Srini. Thanks for having me here.